YouTube channel Lex Consilium Foundation and the playlist Going Strong. We have great pleasure in talking to one of the most distinguished and eminent Air Force officer today. We have Air Marshal Vinod Patney. He passed out from, belonged to the 17th course of the National Defence Academy, and when he retired after 41 years of service, he had Sarvottam Yuddha Seva Medal, Param Vishesh Seva Medal, Ati Vishesh Seva Medal and a Vir Chakra. The last award, Vir Chakra for gallantry, he had got in 1965 operations when he flew no less than 16 operational sorties in the area of Kasur and Khemkaran and was responsible for destroying, knocking out 3 Patton tanks. He later was mentioned in dispatches in 1971. The awards I have already told you. He had attended the Royal Air Force Staff College. During his service of more than 41 years that I spoke about, he headed the Western Air Command, Central Air Command, and was also the Vice Chief of Air Staff. After his retirement, he was the Director General of Center for Air Power for 4 years from 2013 to 2017. He relinquished that post in March 2018. He has authored a respected book, Essays on Aerospace, and he was also associated as a founder member of Tactics and Air Combat Development Establishment. And it is also not to be forgotten that he was the first officer and the first recipient of Sarvottam Yuddha Seva Medal. Now, with this introduction, sir, it's an honor for me, a privilege to speak to you in the playlist Going Strong. And my first question to you is about the Kargil conflict. Now, that war there was fought at a very high altitude and within a limited, restricted geographical area. In that situation, what were the challenges to the utilization of Indian Air Force for the military?
Many challenges. The important point is that air power per se is like a free roaming predator. It should not be constrained. The moment you constrain it, you are losing value. Our planning for air operations, when I was the CNC those days in Western Air Command, was very different. How we would tackle Pakistani airfields, how we would tackle the lines of communications, their dumps, their ammo dumps, their logistics, was all there. But here suddenly we were told that you could not cross the line of control, neither your projectile could go across the line of control. Interestingly, our army artillery was allowed and permitted to fire across the line of control onto the other side, but air power was not.
Authorities were partial to that extent.
I won't say that. Authorities must have had their reasons
for that. Yes.
I must tell you this, that I think that militarily it was not a very wise decision, because after all, you want air power to operate and then you tie its hands, doesn't make too much of sense. But was it essential from the diplomatic angle and the political angle? Somebody else will judge. As far as we men in uniform are concerned, we do what we are told and we try and do it to the best of our ability, which I think we did. You spoke about high hills. Of course, they are high hills and they do pose a challenge. But in this case of Kargil, at least when we started the ops, The biggest challenge was that the targets that we were to attack were tiny in comparison to what we would have wanted. And they were not easily visible. Now for fighter aircraft that are attacking at the speed of 900 kilometers per hour or more, you want to be able to see the target at a safe distance and to be able to acquire it so that you can drop your weapons or fire your rockets or guns or whatever at a safe enough distance for you to be able to pull out of the dive without causing yourself some harm. And at height, the distance required height-wise to be able to pull out safely increases because the air is less dense and hence it takes that much more trouble. So from that point of view, it was a little difficult situation. But we have to find ways. I must tell you, around that time there was Kosovo that was happening. There was also the Americans and the NATO forces had just finished with Afghanistan and they had moved on to attack Iraq. And a young United States Air Force captain was asked, reportedly, this is not first hand at all, it's from the press, was asked, how did you manage from the hills and cold climes of Afghanistan, now you come into the deserts of Iraq. How did you cope? And his answer, which I remember to date, and I think it is so pure, it said, we practice skills. That is important. Air power pilots are there to be able to attack whatever be the terrain, whatever be the target, whatever be the height. They are there to be able to practice skills and to be able to get their targets to the best of their ability. And that, I think, is something that we must all remember.
Thank you. You have brought out very well, and we would continue. This is the end of the first video. We would take up some more with regard to the operations in Kargil. Thank you.